Hey, and welcome to my channel, Sailorette.Plans. I'm Jessica. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. And today I have a March vlog in a way, or chit chat video. So if that interests you, keep watching. Okay, so judging by the title, I'm going to be talking about my experience traveling with pets. And I wanted to put this out there for everybody so that they're aware if anyone is sailing with pets or just traveling in general, because I've struggled a lot with this, and this is something that's kind of a very near and dear to me. Just for reference, I am traveling with a small Yorkshire Terrier dog and a medium-sized ragdoll cat. He is sleeping right now, so I'm not going to interrupt, but Lexi is right here and she is sleeping. But this is the baby. She was literally sleeping and I just pulled her up from bed. But yeah, these are my babies that I travel with full-time as well. So we're just going to be talking about them. So get comfy because this might be long. And yeah, one last thing before we get started. If you do see me wearing the same exact thing as my Happy Planner wish list video, it is because I'm filming this right after that. So yeah, and also I never made a March planner vlog, so I'm going to be using this as a filler for that, because I'm going to try to do monthly vlogs. So without further ado, let's talk about the pets. So I'm going to talk most recently about my experience here in French Polynesia. Let's backtrack how to get them here, because we came from a rabies-controlled country. It was a little bit more difficult regulations in getting them here to this country legally, importing them. So there are 3 different kinds of classifications in the entire world. So we have rabies-free countries, which are typically Hawaii state is the only state in the United States that is rabies-free. But in terms of countries, we have most of the South Pacific, like French Polynesia is one of them, Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, Guam, and so on and so forth. It's not really that many. I think Japan might be one of them, and the UK, specifically England, is rabies free. So these rabies free countries are super strict to importing your pets, because they want to protect their country, right? It makes sense. Why are we going to introduce foreign animals from other countries that come from rabies controlled and rabies filled countries, you know? So they have very specific strict regulations. So those are the other 2 categories, which are rabies controlled, which most of the United States is rabies controlled, and then just rabies. High amounts of rabies is seen in those countries. I think a lot of Central America is like that, and I'm not sure where else because I haven't looked, because those other countries don't pertain to me at the moment. So our last country we technically visited was Panama, but then we did an emergency stop in the Galapagos Islands, and that caused some issues with importing them here to French Polynesia, because even though my pets weren't legally allowed to get off the boat, and they never did get off the boat while we were those 3 days in the Galapagos, they still, when we got here, still did not care. I had to redo, I think it was a Leishmania test I had to redo, and I needed to redo something else. The flea and tick and anti-parasitic medication administered by a vet. I'm not allowed to do it myself. It has to be administered by a vet and authorized and signed and show proof that a licensed veterinarian gave this dosage of medication to them. And so let's backtrack a little bit more. When we were in Panama, I had been in contact with the biosecurity department of French Polynesia for probably 8 to 10 months. And then at the last minute, we were not really getting much response from the biosecurity department. And then finally, I said, hey, please review these documents. We are literally preparing to sail across the Pacific Ocean, and we're not going to have veterinary access or anything like that in the middle of the ocean for 30 days. So review these and let me know. And then some whole new person, entirely different, somebody that I've never been in communication with, said that, hey, the person I was communicating with is no longer going to be taking care of your case. I'm going to be the new person taking care of your case. So everything looks okay except your rabies vaccine. It's not valid per manufacturer. So it's a little bit upsetting because their last rabies vaccination was in the United States, in Marathon, Florida, in the Florida Keys. And I did not ask for this, but the vet in Florida 2 years prior gave them a 3-year rabies vaccine. And that was like their first time ever getting a 3-year rabies vaccine. Like every year I make sure to give them the annual rabies vaccine. So I didn't want to like pump them with another rabies vaccine, especially because it wasn't expired. But little did I know, according to the manufacturer of the rabies vaccine that they received, it was called like MER, M-E-R, you are supposed to give them a booster 1 year after. So they get the 3-year vaccine, and then 1 year later they get another 3-year vaccine as the booster, and then it's effective for 3 years. So that's according to the manufacturing of that specific 3-year dosage that I gave to them back in Florida. So this whole time we had been traveling the Caribbean and Central America, and you know, their rabies vaccine was never expired, so I never gave them a new one. So I thought it was okay, and also I had been in communication with the biosecurity department of French Polynesia, and the first time I said it, I'm like, is this okay? They literally told me in email that it was okay. So I was really upset that I got this response 5 days before departing the country officially, and like we could not wait any longer. So I had to like run and get them a brand new rabies vaccine because they said it was no longer valid. They needed a booster one. I had to give them like a whole other different brand of vaccine because the Panamanian vet did not carry the MER brand from Florida. So that didn't pose an issue. However, even after paying thousands of dollars in testing and all of that and trying to do everything legally the correct way, because of this small, minor detail, which ended up being a very big detail, made it so that they had to self-quarantine on the boat for 6 months and 21 days, but it ended up being 25 days. So 6.5 months, basically 7 months on the boat. I literally cried. I cried because I had been in communication for so long, and why was this different person that came in telling me something different that I had been told the first time? So it's like, how can I trust the information you're giving me if I thought the first time was okay from the other person, right? So I was upset, and what was most upsetting is that I paid a lot of money as well, and of course that my pets have to be quarantined. Like, I didn't mind if the cat was quarantined because he never comes off the boat anyways. He's always on the boat. He loves this boat, except for while we're sailing, he does get a little seasick. But yeah, it was just like really, really, really sad. Like, my dog, you know, she's a dog, you know, thankfully she's little and doesn't require like extensive exercise, but still she is a dog, and dogs need walks, you know. So we went on our merry way, you know. They got new vaccines and then started their 6-month quarantine journey. And yeah, it took a really long time, and then I had to redo testing again once we got here. So we had a vet come onto the boat and give them a new Leishmania test and some anti-parasitic stuff or whatever. So whatever, that happened, and so that was like my really horrible experience. And now the horrible experience continues, to be honest. We're now currently preparing to sail to Hawaii from French Polynesia, or from Tahiti, but Hawaii doesn't recognize French Polynesia as a country that is like rabies free. According to Hawaii, they only recognize New Zealand, Australia, Guam, and the British Isles. So only those 4 countries are completely exempt. So if you're coming from those countries directly to Hawaii, then you are exempt, and you don't, like, you just need to like apply for like an exemption pass or whatever. But if you're coming from anywhere else in the world, you have to, you know, follow the rules. So there's a whole, I think it was like 41-page document on Hawaii's biosecurity website. So they have like animal quarantine and biosecurity. So I highly always suggest like getting in contact with the country's biosecurity, make friends, be in communication, talk to them months in advance, because it does take a lot of planning, especially from one country to the other. There aren't a lot of resources from country to country, and it all could be really confusing. So definitely need to be advised, like, things take time, testing takes time. So definitely do your due diligence months in advance and educate yourself. And don't rely on other people to kind of like tell you what to do either. Like I highly suggest you read those documents, because not everyone's going to know what to do. So that's another thing. And of course, they say there's like in fine print, like, these documents have last been updated since 2001 or whatever, and they are subject to change at any point and without notice. So that's another thing. But let's go back to preparing to go to Hawaii. I was extremely frustrated and really stressed for a really long time, actually, because I needed to do a titer test, and Hawaii only recognizes specific labs to analyze these titer tests. It's called like the anti-rabies titer test. So it's a test that measures the level of antibodies that they have in their physical body to fight off rabies. Hawaii only recognizes specific labs, and I had to like call biosecurity department and ask them, I'm international, I can't send these results to America, to Kansas State Lab or the Missouri State Lab. Can I send them to labs in France? They gave me the okay, and then they gave me a link of approved laboratories in France. And you're imagining, well, you're in French Polynesia, in Tahiti. Why are you sending your results or trying to send your results to France? Because this is French Polynesia. It is a French governed country. They send a lot of their important things or whatever to get analyzed in labs in France. So the language here is French, as well as the native language Maori. So yeah, that's the reason. So I went to my local vet and I was asking them to, okay, no problem, these are the approved labs. Can you send these blood samples, the titer test, to these approved labs to France? And then they said no, because because they don't work with those particular labs. Apparently they have like only specific contracts with, it's called Serbavet. They send all of their samples to be analyzed at Serbavet. So they said they just straight up said they couldn't do it. So I was like so severely confused. I'm like, okay, I didn't feel like I was getting any kind of help. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy, because like I needed a titer test to come here, and why are you like not willing to work with me? And in addition, they refused to give me a rabies certificate, because they say that they don't do that and it's unnecessary in French Polynesia apparently. And I said, I need a rabies certificate to be able to present to Hawaii, because it's like part of the documentation, part of the import documentation that I need. And so it just so happened that the person that specifically administered the new rabies vaccine here in Tahiti left on a mission to go to Tikehau, another little island here in French Polynesia. And then she was going to be going on vacation for a month and a half after that. So she was going to be inaccessible. She's not going to be able to come back until the end of May, when we're supposed to already be in Hawaii or on our way to Hawaii. So the vet tech that was there, she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not the one that gave them these rabies shots, so I'm not going to be able to sign for them. I don't feel comfortable signing for something I didn't administer myself. I'm like, I don't know what to do here, because I need this rabies certificate to present to Hawaii. And so much back and forth was had. After almost 2 weeks, we came to the conclusion that she was going to sign the rabies certificate. She was going to create a whole new one just for me because they don't do that. I gave her a sample one from the United States that they have a long history of rabies vaccinations, So I gave her a sample one and she mimics that. The camera kind of died, so I'm not sure where I left off, but long story short, I got the rabies certificate and it was signed and stamped by the vet that did not administer the rabies vaccines, which it doesn't matter because they still work in the same clinic. The clinic administered the rabies shots. But anyways, then it was coming down to the titer test stuff. So like I needed approval, or the vet needed approval from, I don't know who, but I guess they needed approval from the main lab here in Tahiti to contact the laboratory in France and ask to make an account or get like, I guess, government approval to ship biohazardous material to that specific lab that they don't really have a contract with. And that took some time to get there because in the meantime, a whole other couple weeks went by and I spoke to the biosecurity department here. I went in person and I was brushed off. The lady was severely rude to me. It was a whole new other lady than I had been in contact with in the past, but she just was like rushed and she's just like, yeah, I'm not really allowed to recommend any one specific vet, but you can go to Fare veterinary clinic and maybe they can help you. And that was her response to me. She was like unwilling to help me figure this out, which was wild to me. I just felt like there was so much issues coming into this country and there's so much issues leaving this country. Like I feel trapped. We've explored other options, flying the pets. Like I still need titer tests. Then I would be going from a rabies free to rabies controlled if I flew them to the States and like have them boarded in the kennel in California in the States while my husband and I sailed the month long to Hawaii and then fly back to California and pick them up from the kennel and make sure they get all the paperwork and testing done on time to then take them to, like, it was just going to be like a lot more hassle, a lot more money, a lot more of everything. Finally, after I even went in person and I spoke to the American consulate. The local vet told me to get in contact with the human laboratory in Tamanu. So I went to Tamanu and I spoke to them. This lady that works there at this lab was the only person to have gone above and beyond for me. Her name is Taima and I love her. I love Taima. I don't know if I doubt she's watching this video, but Taima from the human lab in Tamanu, thank you so much, girl. I love you to death. She literally sat there with me for like 2.5 hours. She was like calling up all of these places for me. She was calling FedEx because I was trying to see if the vet could extract the sample and if the human clinic could package it up and ship it out of the country for me. So they were trying to like organize like shipping ways and it was just absolutely wild. So she was calling FedEx for me and like the local Tahiti International as well for shipping options, and she did more for me than anyone ever on this entire island. I left there feeling good and then I gave it some more thought. I did some more research. I went back and I emailed the Hawaiian biosecurity and I said, are you positively sure that it needs to be these specific labs that analyze these samples? And they said yes, like that is the law, that is what needs to happen. So sorry, and I'm sorry you're going through this. And like they were even stumped, like they also couldn't like further help me. So then I went back to my local vet. I said, listen, do I need to be the one to ask for permission for you guys to send these specific samples to these specific labs in France? I know you don't have contracts with them, but like, what do I need to do? Do I need to pay money? Like, what how can I get you approval to send these samples to them? And so she finally was working with me, and I don't know what she did, but she made a few phone calls herself, my local vet, and we finally got it sorted out. So I would say last week, it's been actually about a week now, that my pets finally got their samples, their titer tests done, and it was shipped to France. I should be getting the results by the end of April. And I called biosecurity in Hawaii, and Hawaii says that all they need is the lab to send them like a fax or an email. Like it has to come from the lab. Like I'm not like allowed to do any of this myself. I can't ship things myself as a customer to the lab. It needs to come from a vet or another laboratory. Like it's all super very specific. And so I'm really happy to say that we're finding solutions. Now I need to like send some import papers, but I'm waiting for the titer results to come in and make sure like the biosecurity department in Hawaii has those results. The next thing I need to do is like the import stuff. So I'm going to ask either my bestie, Christina, thank you girl, or my sister-in-law, Zandy, thank you. Thank you both. Honestly, tremendous help, tremendous help. So she's going to be sending in a money order because they don't do money orders here in this country. And I don't know even how to like send mail out of this country. Like I just don't know. And then she's going to be sending the import papers and everything, printing them out and then mailing them to Hawaii because Hawaii doesn't do emails. They have to have everything mailed to them. So the only exception is the titer test results coming in from a foreign country, you know. That could be sent in via email from the lab directly, but everything else coming from me has to be mailed in. It cannot be emailed. They said it was okay that my sister-in-law did this for me as long as when I show up, I have the hard copies of everything, which I will obviously. So we're finding solutions. We're getting there. This has been a very lengthy process. It's been really heartbreaking in some ways. I felt frustrated. I felt crushed. I felt like the world was working against me. I've cried many, many tears. It's really frustrating. It's super expensive, but we're doing this and they're going to sail with us to Hawaii. We're not going to be like putting them in a kennel or anything like that. So I know this is like so long-winded and kind of confusing. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. I will be happy to answer any of your questions. I know this is confusing, but definitely my biggest takeaway is to ask other people, go on Facebook groups. There has to be other people that have traveled with pets before. Get in contact with the biosecurity department of that country. Do your own due diligence and your own research and read those 45-page, 60-page documents that have all the fine line and all the fine detailing in there, and consult your vet for clarification on some things, or the biosecurity department. Those are like my biggest takeaways and my biggest things that I've learned. My last thing is I would say don't do the 3-year shot, and if you do, make sure you learn to keep the brand the same and read about the manufacturing. So if you're going to get a 3-year shot, make sure that it's the same brand and make sure that they've already received their booster shot from the same brand. And then the other thing I would say is if you're going to get a titer test, you have to have your rabies vaccine done at least, it depends on the country, but I would say at least a minimum of 30 days before you get your titer test. Super important because a lot of other countries will not accept that. So it needs to be at least a 30-day period that you wait, or longer. It could be longer, but within the expiration date. So yeah, those are my tips for you guys. Again, let me know in the comment section down below. I am losing the light. It is 5:30 p.m. right now, so it is getting dark. The days are getting shorter. Anyways, yeah, let me know if this video was helpful, interesting. Yeah, I know it was completely different, and it is a little planner related. It's a little bit of a stretch here because there's a lot of planning that needs to be involved whenever you are traveling with pets. But yeah, anyways, I'm now rambling, so please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos from me, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button. I do a variety of content, mostly focusing on planner related stuff, but every now and then I'll do things like this, like planner vlogs. So keep an eye out for those. If that sounds good to you, definitely subscribe. It is free. And yeah, I hope to catch you on the next one. Bon voyage!